When it comes to the story, it gets points for its fairly original storytelling method, with the clever narration and flip-flopping between present time and past, which you're not really made aware of throughout the entire film, mostly anyways, where it helps create that little bit of separation when it comes to the ongoing repetitive love story plot amongst many romance films. But, truth be told, there's really no secret that this film is cliched to the brim with how a relationship can work, with a poor guy with all the love in the world, and a rich girl with the world at her feet, along with how the parents can get in the way and get involved. But, also on the flip side of that, The Notebook does a pretty decent job of taking this cliche premise and turning it into something of their own, doing such a good job not only highlighting, but putting a stamp on the bumps in the road that every couple faces, even though they could be a bit extreme and dramatic in their demonstration. The film does do a pretty good job in illustrating two people that may not be ready for love, but try like hell to make it work, working through all the trials and tribulations, but still fall out of love to work on themselves, and then come back to make it work. To me, it's a fairly good representation of what true love is. Now, if I'm calling a spade, unless you completely have a sour taste when this film comes to your tongue, it almost definitely makes you want to call up your ex because of all the amount of heart and feelings it provides, coupled with many good scenes of falling in and out of love. For most, the past, young Noah and Allie, is the driving force for the film, and for good reason. But for me, the real grounding aspects is when it periodically flashes back to the present time, demonstrating how things can turn out if you really work for what you want. Now, another issue that comes along for me is some of the inconsistencies the film encounters with how the plot moves and how the characters get along, and realistically, how toxic they truly are for one another. That's mainly where the mixed aspects comes into play. You can either take it as a true love story, or see it as very immature and redundant. As far as the characters go, for me, Ryan Gosling really carries the load here, especially when it comes to our two main protagonists, but I wouldn't be lying if I said the two characters didn't work for me. Especially if the story doesn't really move the needle for you, their connection and chemistry would need to be the selling point, and for me, it mainly works. Some pieces of dialogue really stick and hit home, then there's other pieces of dialogue that is just so hammy and overdramatic that it can pull you out of the film. Regardless though, both Gosling and McAdams do a really good job selling the emotional scenes and bits of dialogue due to their deliveries and their body language. A lot of their communication comes from their body language, where it really helped elevate certain aspects. Although fast, their build-up into love was well recognized and captured, hitting real solid emotional beats, and that goes for when they were arguing and falling out of love too. I mean, if you will, falling out of love. But when you're calling a spade, they truly were toxic and immature for one another. Gosling was riding the fine lines between romantic and toxic, while McAdams was really indecisive and ultimately a cheater who really only thought of herself. Overall, as mentioned, The Notebook is a mixed bag. It had some pretty decent highs, but real evident lows, whether it came to the characters, the story, the dialogue, or the way the story moves. But for me, this will always be a guilty pleasure and a film I will revisit time and time again. There was a time in my life where I watched this film at least 5 times in 1 week span, just to somewhat try to aid me through a breakup, so ultimately, it definitely does the job. The Notebook gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Let me know what you think about The Notebook in the comments below, and let me know what film you'd like to see me review next.